All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Floyd Mayweather Jr. got something to say to Teofimo Lopez that, hey, I want to make the fight with you and Gervonta Davis, but you got to understand, and you know you've heard this before, we're the A side and you're the B side. Let's talk about the A side, B side talk with Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis, which might be the biggest fight at lightweight in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So people ask me all the time, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on the DMs and Instagram, on Facebook, I hear it on Twitter, definitely hear it on YouTube. What is the next step for Teofimo Lopez? Is he a huge star? Who should he fight next? And you hear the same thing after Gervonta Davis beats Leo Santa Cruz. Who should he fight next? My answers to those questions for Teofimo Lopez is Devin Haney, right? That to me just makes the most sense. For Gervonta Davis, seems to me that the most sense makes the most sense to me for him to stay at 130 pounds, fight either Gary Russell Jr., who's talking about moving up to 135 pounds, fight Miguel Berchelt at 130 pounds. I think I said 135 pounds. Gary Russell Jr. is moving from 126 to 130, and you'll hear that on the interview that we're having with him today on the Instagram page. If you saw this too late, I'm sorry you missed it. You can go to the Instagram page, and you can see where we do the interview with Gary Russell Jr. and taking most of like the boxer interviews and things that I'm going to do, and we're going to do those over on Instagram. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. But yeah, one of the things that he could do is I would like to see him fight either Miguel Berchelt or Gary Russell Jr. or the winner of Gary Russell Jr. and Miguel Berchelt, right? Because Gary Russell Jr. is the WBC champion at 126. Miguel Berchelt's the 126 champ. 130-pound champ. Those guys should be able to fight. Gervonta Davis is going to be the WBA 130-pound guy. So to me, that makes perfect sense for these guys to make that fight, right? But will that happen? Probably not, because of the type of conversation we're going to have right now, which is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. says, hey, man, I'll fight Teofimo Lopez, or Gervonta Davis will fight Teofimo Lopez. We can make that happen, but just as long as you know that we're the A side. Now, what does the A side mean? A side, to me, doesn't mean anything in my profession. It's really about an issue of leverage, and leverage it's very, very subjective. Leverage is very subjective. It's what you believe, right? You can believe that you have leverage over somebody, but if they don't want to do business with you regardless, then they're just not going to do it. You could think that, hey, man, you got everything in the world can make this guy do this. You got all the advantages in a negotiation, but he might just thumb his nose at you and just, jump on a sword and just not do it for the sake of not allowing you to win. See, those things type of things happen. So when people say A side, B side, to me, they're really talking about leverage or your ability to influence the outside, your ability to influence the outcome of the fight. It's not a scenario where it's either you're going to do everything that I say and I'm going to do nothing that you say. A side in a negotiation, A side, B side just means the person that has the most leverage. But you wouldn't be in a negotiation at all if the other person didn't have anything to offer you, right? So the whole thing to me is kind of funny. But, hey, in boxing we use that. We say, hey, I'm the A side, you're the B side. We do all of that, right? So I'll go with it because that's the parlance of boxing. So does Teofimo Lopez have to do what Gervonta Tank Davis says? No, he does not. Does Tank Davis have to do what Teofimo Lopez commands him to do because he is this huge star? No, he does not. Both of those guys are they produce enough revenue for themselves. They have enough income. They both have avenues to where they can go. Neither one of them are going to be blackballed anytime soon. They're not like Guillermo Rigondeaux, where now we're on like not now, but before we were on like year 3 of starving him out, and he had no choice because he had to earn a living. It's not that type of A side thing, right? It is hey man, let's get together, and if our fight makes more sense for each other than the other options that we have, let's make that fight happen, right? But but Floyd is saying, hey, man, in our negotiation, right? Now, in our negotiation, you do have to, appreciate what the other person's leverages are, right? And here's the thing. Teofimo Lopez is a very good fighter. All right. And I want to be very sensitive to this because there's a lot of, there's a lot of Latino fans and fans of Teofimo Lopez in general that are feeling as if he's not getting the credit that he is due from me or for other people. And I want to make very, very clear that I know that Teofimo Lopez is an excellent fighter and he has the ability to beat anybody. Okay. I'm not saying that he's some hype job that doesn't deserve the credit that he's getting or anything like that. That is the farthest thing from the truth. I thought Teofimo Lopez was going to win this fight against Vasily Lomachenko. And, dude, I don't believe anybody can beat Vasily Lomachenko if they're not a very, very solid fighter, right? But he's not a huge fighter, okay? He's not a huge draw. He's not this mega star that is going to be all over the place and everybody loves him. No. Because when you see him if you see him on talk shows and getting a bunch of interviews and a bunch of people, putting big pictures up on him on Instagram and really trying to get his name out there, what they're doing is they're trying to get his name out there, right? They are trying to build him. They are trying to impress people with his name and keep his name out there. My friend, that is a part of a building process. The fact that he's getting all these interviews is a testament to the fact that they need to build him, okay? Now, Gervonta Davis, right? Or not interviews headed up to fight. I want to be clear. Not interviews in fights, right? Where they're talking about the fight. But I'm talking about the stuff that they're doing over there with Tyson Fury in the UK, where you hear every 5 seconds you get an article that comes across your desk that's like, all right, man, they're writing another foo-foo article about him to keep his name in the press, to convince somebody that he's somebody that you need to look up to, and convince brands that you can put Tyson Fury's name on your brand, right? That type of stuff, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people going to see you fight, okay? And the fact of the matter is that Teofimo Lopez has not, as of yet, shown that was the case because he was the supporting fighter in the fight that he won the championship in. All right, and I think that's a fair way to say it. He was the supporting fighter, right? It was Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. And Vasily Lomachenko was the guy that was being sold for years and years, who, by the way, never made it off of regular ESPN because people were not buying all of that stuff that they were selling. Now, Teofimo Lopez, on the other hand, I think Teofimo Lopez absolutely has the ability to do all of these things, but he has to actually fight the best fighters. You're not going to get around it any other way. And if you go through them and you make it, that was what was for you. And if you go through them and you don't make it, it wasn't for you. It was for the other guy. And, there's a lot of this stuff with boxing, a lot of this manipulation, and this fight not happening, and that fight not happening, and these rankings being funny, all result around making boxing work for the people that boxing wants it to work for and not having it work for the people that you don't want it to work for. However, the ultimate test, and this is why I'm saying, Gervonta Davis is the A side, is because it's about who is actually supporting you. Not who you would like to support you in the future, who you think you may get to be able to support you in the future. No, it is the person that is with you now. It is the person that can sell out seats in cities, in multiple cities right now. That's who the star is. That's who the person has the most leverage is. Because if everybody knows at lightweight that if you make a fight between you, and I don't care who that you is, and Gervonta Davis, you're more than likely going to get a sellout crowd. You're going to get a lot of interest from people, real people. Now, you may not get a lot of interest from Steve Kim. You may not get a lot of interest from Dan Rayfield or Kevin Iole or guys like that. But you will get a lot of interest from the people that are on YouTube, the people that are in the Instagrams, the people that are out there, not on Twitter. Twitter's crazy. But you get my point. The actual ground, the grassroots supports. That's what Gervonta Davis has. He has a massive amount of grassroots support. And I don't see that from Teofimo Lopez as of yet. So if they want to make that fight and you're trying to judge who has what leverage, when we're talking about it in our conversations, because that's the only thing that really matters is the conversations that you and I have, right? The conversations that you have with other people, because Gervonta Davis and Mayweather Arum and Teofimo Lopez and Mr. Lopez Sr., they're all going to work that out themselves. But to the practical extent that we talk about it and we're going back and say, oh, Gervonta Davis, he needs to do what Teofimo Lopez says because Teofimo Lopez is the star. Look at how he peaked at 2 million views on ESPN. Dude, that's free TV for the most part. Most people could watch that, could just walk to their TV there. Oh, there's a boxing match on. Turn it on. It don't get no easier than that. But for somebody to get in a car, drive a couple hours to go to San Antonio, Texas, rent a hotel room in the middle of a pandemic, knowing I'm going to have all kind of masks and gloves and all kind of crap on, that tells you somebody's really wants to see that fighter and is willing to take a little risk, not an unreasonable risk, I hope, to see that fighter. And that is the leverage that you have. But is this fight going to happen? No. Because Bob Arum is not going to allow this fight to happen, man. Bob Arum and Top Rank are just, I think that they are the biggest problem in boxing. I think Bob Arum's influence with the press, I think Bob Arum's influence with the fact that he's got ESPN paying money for that garbage. Well, not garbage. Some of it's not garbage, but it is garbage when you compare it to what it could be. Boxing right now is garbage compared to what it could be if we solve this problem. If we solve this problem of the sanctioning bodies and really the promoters and them dividing stuff up and not wanting these fights to happen, I truly believe that we would have the best sport in one of the if not the most popular sport, we would have one of the most popular sports again, because you would actually get to see the best fighters fighting one another instead of the best fighter with one promotional outfit fighting the third best fighter at their promotional bet. The best of that promotional company fighting the best of that promotional company, instead of the best in the weight class fighting the best in the weight class. And there's a lot of things going on around preventing that. But I really do believe it starts with the financial incentives of the promoter. But that's my take. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.